Just waiting a second and then we will begin. Hi, everybody. Duke Mason here, and this is the ninth episode of Duke's Download. And today I am so excited to have somebody who I admire so much, not just as a musician, but just as an amazing human being and just a genius, I think, Rufus Wainwright. And I see he is on, so I am now going to try to patch him in. Hold on, he says hello. There we go. It's connecting. One second. This is waiting. Anyway, this is connecting. Hi, Rufus.
Hello, hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too.
My mom says hi, Rufus, in the
Yes,
comments.
hi,
She's
Belinda.
she was so excited when I told her that I was going to talk to you.
Yeah, she's in Thailand?
Yeah, my parents are both in Thailand.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's been tough, obviously, not getting to see them for a couple months, but we talk like 5 times a day.
Right. Oh, that's
So,
so sweet.
I mean, thank God for technology, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if we were saying like, had this happened 20 years ago, it would have been so much more difficult.
Yeah. No, I talk to my mom five times a week too, but she's dead. So so I don't whatever.
No, but I think, I just think it's so important that we stay connected as much as we can. And that's why I've been doing this interview series, because I just wanted to I think people just want to stay connected with each other. And I've just been wanting to talk. It's a good excuse to talk to people that you admire. And you're one of those people. So,
Yes. I mean,
but
I
how
think
is,
No, I mean, I think we've met in person in
yeah.
passing mostly, but we've been wanting to, I know, to get together and have a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah. Well, and
So
of course,
this is actually kind of our first real, just you and me meeting.
yeah. Well,
Kind
the last time I saw you in person was the Walt Disney Concert Hall
yeah,
show,
that great
which,
show
hard
that
to
I did.
believe, I was thinking that was 13 years ago.
Oh God, were you even
Thanks.
you were
I
you were
was
what
15
were
years old.
wow,
Yeah, which
wow.
is hard to believe. But that was an
It's a
amazing
long
night.
time. It's a long time coming. Then this
It
meeting.
is.
So it's nice to get that going.
Yeah, and the fact. I mean, I was thinking 13 years ago, and when I posted that you were coming on, people were like, "Oh my God, that show, even 13 years later, is
Yeah,
so memorable." And it
yeah,
really was an
yeah,
amazing night.
yeah. No, my husband just brought me some cake. Sorry.
Cake?
Yeah, no, it was. It really was, and I remember actually at the time being so kind of uh, excited and really honored that your mom just kind of asked me out of the blue to do that, and it was just and we of course I immediately wanted to, but it just sort of it was kind of like someone from the TV had like reached out their hand and said, come with me and do a show at Disney Hall. It was very exciting and very glamorous. So
Well, I was thinking about how I remember when I was a kid, like 8, 10, 12 years old, when we lived in France, and she would have your albums on like all morning and all day.
oh wow.
And so she's about as big a fan of yours
Oh
as am
God.
I. But I wanted to ask you, like, so how has your life been the last couple months? I mean, you're quarantining in LA, right?
Yeah. I'm in LA, and I'm how can I say this? I guess I'm just a consummate optimist, and so I have found ways to really utilize this time. I write a lot. I practice the piano a lot, which actually I don't get to do when I'm touring, because it's always you're always going to the next gig and stuff. So I'm working out some kinks in my fingers, and then also, one thing that's really nice is that we have a daughter who's 9,
Mm-hmm.
and previously I haven't been able to see her that much because I was on the road so much. So now that we've seen her a lot, so she's loving this, seeing her daddies, and because we share custody with her mom, and and that's, you know, so, and generally I stay pretty positive and pretty into what's going on, because, you know, I personally don't feel like, certainly us in LA have much to complain about compared to what's happened, you know, on the East Coast and in Europe. So I just count my lucky stars. That is, you know, mixed with moments of utter horror and fear and, you know, worry about the state of the world and the country, and especially with the election coming up, you know, how this is all gonna transpire. So it's mostly been great, mixed with, you know, little cracks of doom.
No, I was thinking that too, about how it's like, once, I mean, this is not going to be over, but even once this starts to, you know, subside, or all the, you know, the restrictions and all that, we then go, as you said, right into this election, which is just going to be a horrible nightmare. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, just it's just going to be an unpleasant experience. You know?
I mean, I do feel, I mean, and I don't, you know, I don't think that there's any way to really, you know, be gleeful at all about this virus, you know, in terms of you know, taking down Trump. But I do feel that it is appropriate to kind of utilize, you know, this situation to really just show, you know, just the cracks in what is happening, and what's happening in the United States, and how, you know, badly governed the country is right now. And it's, you know, and in a strange way, I mean, Trump is so, like I don't think anybody can really combat him but a virus, like and just in terms of the way he operates, like he just doesn't engage on a human level. So you need something, you
He
know,
and the coronavirus
you
have a
know,
lot in common.
yeah, there's an odd correlation between the two of them that's unfortunate and terrible, but has a strange poetic justice to it. So I don't know, but you know, I once again, I'm painfully optimistic, and everything's going to be great.
Let's hope for the best. Put good vibes out there. But so I see, I mean, I see you're busy. I mean, you just did a live music thing earlier today, right?
Yes, yeah. No, I did a concert for
Amazing.
Italy, and then for Milan Piano Festival, and I was doing a song every day. I was doing these things called the Robe recitals,
Yeah, of
which are
course.
up on my Instagram, and
They're
that became
amazing.
a bit of a thing. I did 60 songs in 60 days,
Wow.
and they were all originals. Most of them. I have a couple covers, but
Wow.
but mostly originals, and I kind of ran out of material that I could perform myself. I needed an accompanist to continue that. But I also needed a break. So I'm gonna have some
Yeah, I mean,
break now.
I saw in the last one you did, you wrote, like, I didn't know, you know, how long this was going to go on for. You know, it's like, it's been 60 days, and I think
I know.
enough's enough. Like, it's been great, but
Yeah.
time to take a break.
Time to take a break.
And I see you have a new dog.
Time to take a break and eat some cake. Yeah.
And Puccini.
We have
Adorable.
we have a new dog who has basically eclipsed any kind of fame that I had, and has, you know, twice as many likes as I do, and you
He's
know,
adorable. He's beautiful.
yeah, no, he's really adorable. I feel like I can grab him and show him, just so you.
Yeah, he's really beautiful. My mom, I'm freaked out, of course.
Can I see the Puccini for 1 second? Where is he? Okay. You can't grab him a second? I know you're naked. My husband is naked on the
off camera.
Yeah, so he's gonna very strategically. Okay, how are we gonna do this? Hold on.
All right.
No, your buddy. It's facing me. It's facing me. Here, because they get, you know, it's like, it's now. Oops, what's sort of facing me? Sorry. Here we go.
Oh my God.
I know.
I mean, it's
No.
like, I don't even know what to say. He's so beautiful.
Yeah. No, it's.
How old is he? When did you get him? How old?
I got him
A week ago?
When did I get him? I got him a couple of weeks ago. Oh, look at him! Look at him! Oh, you're not supposed to bite. Oh, you're not supposed to.
Oh,
yeah, we got him about a week ago, two weeks ago now, and I know the eyes.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
where did you get her? How did you find
We
or
we,
him?
we got we got her
For
from
her.
we got him. Sorry, from Utah, and
Utah.
yeah. So we didn't go to Utah. Someone
Right.
brought it
Right.
down, but yeah. No, he's. I mean, do you have a puppy or a
I
dog?
did. Unfortunately, mine passed away a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
we've had pugs, and that's we have
Okay.
our designated family dog is the
Yeah.
pug, and so I had
Yeah.
a pug for a while. My mom has had pugs for my dad has had pugs their whole lives, so
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
No,
love
we love
animals.
we. What happened to us is that my husband. Okay, my daughter always wants a puppy, of course, and then my husband, who didn't have dogs at all, I kind of did, but it was a total disaster. Actually, whatever it was. It bit the dog would bite people and hated everybody. So it wasn't a good experience for me, anyways. And then we had 70s rock and roll dogs that killed people, and and so my daughter wanted a puppy, and then my husband kind of got hooked on looking at pictures of puppies, and then I saw an article in the paper about how there's something good and maybe giving a kid a dog at this time to sort of give them something positive and so
Mm-hmm.
forth as opposed to what's going on, and then it kind of just rolled into this seductive situation where next thing you know we had this someone driving down from Utah with a dog and a puppy, and we then got the puppy, and I totally freaked, because I realized, oh, of course, like that. This is why people give away dogs. I mean, it's a big problem, and for about a week, it was like, oh, you have to do this. You can't touch it. You can't let them lick it. Like
Right.
it's like there's so many rules, and
Mm-hmm.
and if you keep them in a cage, and the kids might kill them, and so it was. There was a point there where I totally related to people who get nice dogs and then have to give them
Mm-hmm.
away. But then we got into a rhythm, and now we're loving it. Now you have
It
to
isn't
build your
easy.
life
You're right.
around this. You have to rebuild your life around it. And now we're loving it.
Yep.
But I was afraid, and I would be like, then I'd be on like page 6, gave away the puppy, and like my whole career would
And
be.
again, millions of haters.
I know, like how like this is major,
Yeah, I
major
mean,
danger
my
here.
mom and my dad, our whole family, we love dogs. But like even my mom, my mom said to my dad, "Hey, like, maybe now that they're situated in Thailand, maybe we can get a dog." And my dad's like, "No
Yeah,
way! Until you are retired and like here to like
yeah,
take care of the dog, like because
yeah.
it's a lot of responsibility, and you kind of have to be
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
especially when
no.
they're puppies. You have to be there
Yeah,
full
and they
time."
can't leave the house. They can't go to other people's yards
Yeah,
because there's
yeah.
viruses and stuff. So but it's now we're now getting into the rhythm of it. And what's nice is that my husband's German, and he's very, very, he's a real house frau. I mean, he loves clean. He vacuums twice a day sometimes. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, but like I don't know, he just gets very into that, and he cooks, a great cook, and I'm the polar opposite. I'm Irish Frau, um, so I'm just I don't think I've ever vacuumed ever, but but anyway, so whatever. So we have that. There's not an equilibrium there, but now somehow we figured out that I'm very good with the puppy early in the morning. I don't mind getting up and actually doing all the early morning puppy stuff, and he can sleep in, and I can use it as a bargaining tool. So it's great. Now I don't feel guilty anymore about my existence.
You're doing something good, and
Yes,
you've
yeah,
given a great life to
yeah,
to a
yeah,
beautiful creature. Um,
yes.
and in terms of like your routine, I mean, are there any particular books or movies you've been into lately, or music
Uh,
also you've been listening to? Maybe.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been reading. There's a great Austrian writer. From the he died in the 30s or the 40s. He committed suicide actually, but his name was Stefan Zweig,
Of course, yeah.
and I've been reading his biographies of Marie Antoinette and Mary Queen of Scots.
Uh-huh. Wow.
That's that's whatever. It's giving me, well, it's not giving me much perspective actually. It's totally.
It sounds like it would be a good
wild.
escape a little bit,
It's
you
it's
know.
good escape, but I mean it's a good okay. Mary Queen of Scots I just finished. I finished Mary Queen a while ago, but Mary Queen of Scots I just finished. That didn't really equate too much to what was going on right now. I mean it's beautifully written. It's a great book. It's fantastic. But oddly enough, Marie Antoinette I related to a lot because it's about it takes place during the Revolution, obviously in France, and we are kind of in some revolutionary times. There's a definite
Populist uprising.
pushback,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
what the way the world has been, and so I could relate to that. I'm reading a book, that book City of Girls,
Mm-hmm.
um, by Gilbert, and then
And
I'm
by the way,
reading.
my mom says in the comments here that her favorite writer is Stefan Zweig. Zweig.
There we go, Spike. Oh, wonderful.
Zweig.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's
You're
amazing.
better with the German
Yeah.
pronunciation than I am,
No,
or Austrian.
I've been trained
Yeah, exactly.
for
No,
now.
but yeah, he's her favorite writer.
That's great. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's amazing. He's
You
amazing.
guys have a lot in common.
There we go. There we go. So I'm into him. I'm also reading short stories by what's his name? Henry James. Good luck. I just almost destroyed this lamp.
Uh-oh.
But anyways, but yeah, so I'm old fashioned, I guess. I'm trying to read some new things too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see.
And then I see tomorrow you're doing a coronavirus COVID-19 relief concert. It's a
Yes,
festival.
yes,
Festival.
yes,
So
yeah.
maybe you can tell people about that, or like how you got involved in that.
Well, I don't know which one it is. Well, who's putting that? I'm doing a few of them.
Oh, it's the one that's happening tomorrow with like it's a music like there's a bunch of different artists that are playing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
No, that's fantastic that you're doing that.
yeah. No, I mean, I've done some of these are live, and then some of them I
Right,
do like I'll record them previously.
right.
So I've recorded a lot of stuff this week. So I don't
Mhm.
know what the hell's happening, but
I see you're very
I've
active.
recorded a lot this week. I don't know what the hell is happening, but by the end of next week, everything will be fine, and this will all be over because of what I did. I'm just kidding.
No, well, you really are doing good, and like I said, people want you're helping a lot of people and giving people a real some pleasure, and at a time when people really need some
Yeah.
enjoyment.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I mean, look, I don't in any way treat it as some sort of honorable badge. I mean, what I get to do to bring people pleasure is gives pleasure to me as well, and it's nothing. And so many people are in such dire straits right now in terms of losing their jobs and losing loved ones or their health, their own health. So it's a small token that I offer, but that being said, it is I do. Yeah, we got to keep working at this here. We ain't out of the woods yet.
No, and I mean, I thought it was really touching that I saw you dedicated your new single, Alone Time, which is beautiful, by the
Yeah,
way.
thank you.
And I love it. And I mean, I was reading about it and I saw some of the, comparisons people made to the Beach Boys, which is totally
Yeah,
spot
yeah,
on. I heard that, that influence in there. It was
yeah,
beautiful. But I
yeah.
saw you dedicated it to, people who are going through, some, intense isolation.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yeah. Well, it's also, I mean, I think also, I will say that the one, and it really happened once, but it was pretty intense. Where, about a month ago, kind of in the middle of this period that we're in right now, I just woke up very early in the morning, and for some weird reason, totally felt as though I was like an old sick person alone without their family in a hospital or in a or nursing home, surrounded by people with bags over their, or coverings, I should say. Sometimes they had bags over their head. My God. Anyways, but but it was, I just somehow related to that situation, or was traveled into someone else's body. I don't know what occurred, but I went there at one point very early in the morning, and it was pretty frightening just to really try to conceive of that, being at the end of your life and just seeing people with masks on.
mhm.
So yeah, so that's why I dedicated the song to them, because I just had I don't know, some spirit came to me one morning, and I really felt it. But
No,
and
and
thankfully it was only once.
no, but yeah, it's not an experience you probably want to go through again.
No, no.
And I know you already sort of touched on it, but like I know you have, sort of a real, perspective in terms of politics and what's going on in the world at the moment. But how do you feel like both the coronavirus, but with Trump, like, and
Right, right.
I know you've talked a little in the press about your political views, but I know you've sort of said that you sort of have lean libertarian. Like, is there?
God, that was ages ago, before that whole concept was sort of
Right,
hijacked
right, right,
by the
right.
Pauls,
Yeah.
but no, I'm a lot's changed for me. I mean, since I've gotten married and had a child. I mean, it's I think there was a period in my life, in my uh, late or 20s, and early 30s, where I could be kind of flippant and just sort of free in my thoughts, and actions about the way the world was. Now there's more. I am more vested, or invested, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
in the people around me, and the world around me. So at this point, I just want to go back to a functioning government, and
Yep.
uh, and I think it's really important to turn the Senate,
Yeah.
blue. That's, I think, just as important as the presidency,
Yep.
and to obviously keep the House,
Yep.
and I'm hoping, I actually, I've always really liked Joe Biden. I met him years ago, at the White House, when I was doing an event there for LGBT stuff, and he actually, I mean, Obama, who was there, it was fantastic to meet him, but he was quite distant, and up on this pedestal, and it was like going to visit God or something. But
Yeah.
then right after, we turned around, and Obama was in amongst everybody, and shaking everybody's hand and hugging everybody, and it was a really wonderful, for a gay boy who
Yeah.
grew up with rather cold, you know, white men, of his generation.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, sense of welcoming. I know I can see how it can get a little tricky in certain cases, but I've always really liked him, and I do feel that also it's going to be important for him to really start, building a team
Mm-hmm.
early on,
Absolutely.
and getting everybody, because it's going to take a team. It's going to take a
Yeah.
team or village. It's going to take a whole city to fix this country. So,
Yep.
uh, so,
Yep.
so yeah. So as long as that message is sent forth,
Mm-hmm. So he'll have good people around him, no
yeah,
question. I mean, the best and the brightest,
yes,
Um, but so I wanted to also go back a little bit and just talk a little about your upbringing and your influences early on, because I just think it's so, you've had some really fascinating, like, eclectic mix of
right,
influences.
yeah,
I mean, I know your father was a folk singer, or is a folk singer.
yeah, yeah. He is a
Um,
folk singer. Yes,
but
yes,
when did the opera thing come in?
yeah,
How did that start?
yeah. Yeah, well, both my mother, who sadly passed away, she was an amazing folk singer and singer-songwriter, and my dad as well. He's still around, and he still sings. And actually, it's funny, because his father was a writer, quite a well-known writer for Life magazine in the 50s, and actually for a while they lived in Hollywood. They lived in Beverly Hills,
Wow.
in what was it called? They lived, oh God. Anyways, I can't remember the name of the not Bedford. But anyways, they lived in Beverly Hills, and my grandfather covered Hollywood for Life magazine. In fact, he probably hung out with your grandfather. They were next door neighbors with Judy Garland, and
Mhm.
and so my dad kind of grew up with Liza, actually, for a while. So they were kind of
Wow.
around in that world. But then my dad got into the folk music thing, and did quite well. And then, so I guess that was kind of his rebellion against, his whatever literati father. And then I got into opera as a
Mhm.
kind of rebellion against my folk parents. And when I was about 13,
Wow.
and Yeah, I wonder what my daughter's gonna do. She might have to become
Rap or
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, there's a lot of different types of music around, for sure.
Yeah, and then so, but then not only opera, but then for you to become interested in like obviously Judy Garland.
Yes, yes,
How did
yeah,
that happen? I mean, I know
yeah.
you said
Well, that
you probably
happened
heard a
before
little about
opera.
her.
What happened is that I'm a little older than you, and I had I'm from an interesting generation. I'm 47, and or 46. God, I'm pushing it. So I'm starting to lie up. I'm 55. Um, no, I'm 46, and I'm from a weird age where when I was a little kid, we didn't have VCRs yet, so we couldn't rent movies, and so whenever a movie was on television, it was a big event, and of course, um, The Wizard of Oz was on once a year around Easter usually, I think, and and it was a huge thing, and so seeing Judy at that age when I was around 4 or 5, and you couldn't rent a movie still. That happened when I was around 10 or 11. Was still this gather around the television moment, which there were after that moments like that, but it was but still Wizard of Oz was like that when I was a small kid, and so I was indoctrinated and
Indoctrinated.
never, and then later when I moved to LA to make my first albums, I then became more obsessed with, later Judy, more, Stars Born period, and kind of, wanted to live that same kind of decadent Hollywood crazy lifestyle, and search for all the ghosts, and I found them, and then I, didn't really want to. And then it's interesting because by the time I did the concert, the Judy Garland concert, I was getting sober at that point, and that was a bit of an exorcism
Mm-hmm.
of me to get rid of the Judy Garland kind of sensibility, and so that those concerts for me were a way of kind of coming to terms with Judy, and maybe letting her free a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, I mean, I now that you mentioned that about getting sober right at that time, I mean, it sort of was, there were some parallels. I mean, just in
yeah,
terms of like, it was your way of saying, okay, now I'm moving on to the next chapter,
yeah,
and
yeah,
not saying goodbye, but
yeah, yeah. Well, I
no, it's
think
an
it was nice for
interesting
me. It was nice
observation.
for me to do those shows sober. Um, because she wasn't, and when she did her shows, or presumably, I mean, I don't know what exactly her situation was, obviously, but that she always obviously struggled with drugs, and for me to be just so clear was, I don't know, I thought about her,
Mm-hmm.
and how she struggled with addiction, and how I was able to sort of be out of that rat race for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My dad just mentioned in the comments, my grandfather delivered the eulogy at Judy Garland's funeral
Oh
in New
wow.
York in
Oh
in '69. I mean, so I mean, Judy's always been obviously someone that's been very
yes.
present and important to me. And I don't know if you can see, I'm trying not to drop my computer here or create but turn the camera.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yes.
I
Yeah,
could go
I
on
could go
singing.
on singing. Yes,
Yep,
yes, yeah.
exactly. So, so I mean, I'm a big fan too, and I mean
Did
the
you like
album.
what did you think of the movie?
I mean, you mean I could go on singing?
No, no, the Judy
Oh,
movie. Yeah, yeah. Renee,
oh,
Renee.
I thought it was great actually.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really great too. I
I
felt a
really,
little bad. I felt a little bad because I know Lorna quite well,
yeah, yeah, me
and
too.
I love Lorna. She's a doll, and I'll always adore her. And she was very, she had some real issues with the whole situation, which she has every right to, and I
Yeah.
understand that. But then I kind of loved the movie, and I felt like I was betraying Lorna slightly.
You were on the soundtrack, weren't you?
I
Were you?
was, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
on the soundtrack. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was.
So
I
I
thought it
thought,
was really good, and I thought
yeah,
actually, and because I'm friendly with Lorna too, and I felt a little uncomfortable because I was invited to the premiere, but like I got on the
yeah,
I got
yeah,
invited somehow, and I felt conflicted about going, but
yeah,
then I watched the movie. I'm like, I thought it was actually a really
yeah,
um, nice,
Yeah.
complimentary portrayal of her. I don't think it was,
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I think Lorna was probably. I don't think there was. I think there were things in it that didn't happen and that were
yeah,
patently false. So I think that bothered her a lot. But anyways, but it's. I don't think you can
yeah,
expect either her or Eliza to be.
right,
They have their own obviously in unique perspectives.
right. No,
Concern.
of course, yeah. When it's your family, it's a whole other
Yeah, yeah.
thing, I imagine. Um, I know, one thing, obviously, and I sort of mentioned this earlier when I was growing up and my mom would play your albums. I think even before I just maybe it was something about your sensitivity and the way there's something about you that I even just even though I didn't know the word or I didn't know exactly how to uh, express it, I somehow just knew intuitively that you were gay and that's obviously as a gay kid that meant something to me.
Yeah.
And as I got older, you were one of those first people that for me sort of served as a role model and an inspiration. And
Oh,
well, no, yeah, and I was just curious how that
yeah,
journey happened for you, and
yeah,
how did you make a conscious
yeah.
decision earlier in your career that
You
you weren't
know,
gonna?
I never did, in the sense that when I started, well, two things. One is I'm a terrible liar, so I didn't feel like I had the ability to kind of mask it so much,
Mhm.
and I really wanted to write about my life and be honest about it. I felt that was just gonna be my shtick, just being really honest about what I was feeling and who I was. So I just did it that way. But the other flip side of that, or the more strategic side, I should say, is that I was another sad fact about my generation is that AIDS was so
Mhm.
prevalent when I was young, and especially when I was hitting puberty, it was everywhere. And I came out when I was very young to myself. I was about 14, 13, 14. I knew
Mhm.
I was gay, and gay men were dying left and right. So AIDS was just so frightening. And when I got a deal with DreamWorks, I my greatest nightmare was that if I had pretended to be straight somehow, or if they convinced me to do that, and then I got sick, and I had to kind of do this whole rock hudson thing of like pretending, while I'm dying that I'm not gay. Like that
Right.
just I just didn't want to do that. So actually, I mean, and I'm quite proud of myself in retrospect, but at the time I just didn't. It was more out of fear than anything else. But the first meeting that I had, and it was with Lenny Waronker and Mo Austin, who were two of the biggest music industry people at that time. Anyways, I sat down with them and I said, before we go any further, I just want you to know I'm gay, and I'm not going to say anything else about it. That is who I am, and uh, and I'm not, I'm out of the closet, and so forth. That was the first thing I said, and then the meeting proceeded, and we continued, and they offered me the deal. But it was the first thing I put on the table, which is interesting. And I
Totally.
later realized that I didn't have, like there are so many performers who just pretended or were not, you know, out front about it, or who just, were subtle and did so much better. Like whatever. I didn't necessarily have to be that honest, but I just, I chose that route at the outset.
Absolutely. And I think, one thing that people really admire about you as an artist is the fact that you are so authentic and sort of, true to yourself. And I don't think now that as you say this, I'm thinking like, it wouldn't have been in line with your sort of your it wouldn't you not being
Yeah.
forthright. It wouldn't
Yeah.
just didn't line
Yeah.
up. It wouldn't
I
line
think
up.
at the time I paid a price for it. There
Mhm.
was a lot of things that were not given to me because of that honesty. But in the long run, I am now, uh, earning the dividends from that decision. But I've always played the long game, so it's that's who I am, the long guy.
The wrong guy. Um, but no, and so I wanted to talk about your new album.
Yes.
Unfollow the rules, which actually I love the title. It's
Thank
very
you.
sort of related to what we were just talking about. You know, I like the. It's a great title. It
Thank
comes
you.
out
Yeah.
July 10th.
My daughter came up with it. Viva. She walked into the living room one day and said, "Daddy, sometimes I just want to unfollow the rules," and then walked out of the living room, and my jaw was on the floor, and I quickly wrote down the expression, and then now here we are with the album coming out. So
And is that one of the songs on the album? Is there a
that is,
song?
yeah, that's one of the songs, and it's sort of, I mean, for me, it's what's interesting about that concept is that, you know, the song itself is about, I don't even know what the song's about totally, but it's definitely about re-examining the paths that we have taken to get where we are, and deciding after that voyage, if we want to continue that way. So for me, unfollowing is really about turning around and going backwards, and so forth. Um, Now, of course, the flip side is that unfollow is a completely 21st century term where you can just press a button and delete somebody, which, as we all know, does not actually happen
Right.
in the end of the day. So it's I think it's this juxtaposition between trying to cut something off and not think about it, and actually having to go back and you know invest in your recovery, really, I guess, in a lot of ways.
100%. And I saw you said that you felt like this album was sort of a bookend to your debut
Yeah.
album.
Yes. Yeah.
And so maybe you can talk a little about that. Like, was that an intentional thing as you wrote it, or as you put it together? Like, how do you see it as a bookend to the
Yeah.
debut?
Well, my first album was made about 20 years ago here in LA. My first two albums were mostly made here, and I had like a miserable time before then in New York. I was not at all Manhattan's cup of tea when I was very young. It was more, I was it was people like Jeff Buckley or Elliott Smith. It was much more straight, uh, nihilistic, heroin, dark thing, and I was this like dandy with a bow tie singing opera and playing piano. So it didn't work for me in New York, and then I came to LA, and it was fantastic. Suddenly I fit into this sort of more psychedelic, more songwriting situation, like Laurel Canyon and Randy
Mhm.
Newman, Van Dyke Parks, and people like that. So I was able to find my niche here, and I made my first album, and now I'm living here again. This is my home again. I was in New York for a long time, but now I'm here again. I subsequently
When
went and conquered New York, by the way. They took me eventually,
you feel
but
like you did it, like New
yeah,
York, you did New
yeah.
York.
But now I'm
Is
back in LA,
so
so
how long have you been back here
we've
now?
been back around 4 years, 4 or 5.
4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And so now I understand where the LA connection came from, because your grandfather lived
Yeah,
here. So there was a family relationship, even though.
sort of. No, my grandfather didn't live here for a long time, but he was here for a few years. But yeah, my dad lived in LA too. My mother lived in the Chateau Marmont and made records, for Warner Brothers back in the 70s. And my dad as well. In fact, I almost drowned in the Chateau Marmont when I was 3.
My God.
And but I was saved by Betty Buckley, the
Of
Broadway
course.
star. So yeah,
What a
I had
story.
some early. Thankfully, my parents got divorced, and then my mother took me to Canada, and I was brought up in Canada and had a normal rest of the time. But
Wow.
before then, it was Hollywood.
Unbelievable. And I saw you had to cancel some of the shows that you had it for May.
All the shows, all
Oh,
the
so
shows.
even the shows in October in like the
Well, they're
UK.
not canceled yet. I wouldn't bet on them happening, though, frankly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Nothing has been canceled yet in October. But England is not doing well
Yeah.
right now. So and it was a UK tour. It is a UK tour. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? But I wouldn't. I'm worried about those dates.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, like my mom and the Go-Go's had to cancel all of their shows, of
Yeah.
course. And it's unfortunate, but I feel like unfortunately live shows are probably going to be one of the last things to.
Yeah, yeah. Which is so terrible because it's funny because there was someone talking about the other day how, I mean, everybody's always, the first thing they're always wondering about is sporting events. You know, like, when are we going to have a baseball game? When are we going to have a basketball game? Which is fine, but it should be the other way around.
Right.
Because in the theater and in music and in art, that's when you're dealing with isolation, you're dealing with the emotions, you're dealing with the, processing this event. And so all the, it is in the theater and in, music and art that you kind of that you can come to terms with, the way the world is. And it's just funny how it's going to be last, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Do you think you might reschedule your shows? Maybe do
No, we've already. But
next year?
what we're doing is we're just taking everything from now and
Yeah.
putting it onto next year
It's hard to know. It's hard to
at,
know.
at, at the same time. So I will be going back out, but it won't be for a while.
No, I would have loved to have come to the Troubadour show.
Oh
That would
yeah,
have been
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. I did. Yeah, and let's hope that. I mean, I hope the Troubadour sticks
Right.
around. I mean, I donated some money to them because I know they're having trouble. So
That's one of my biggest fears is, because I mean, aside from, of course, it is a terrible, terrible disease and of course the human cost, but the fact that it's probably going to mean that a lot of those
yeah,
types of places are not going to be around.
no,
And I think there's going to be a huge, unfortunately, a lot of economic fallout,
yeah. Oh my
unfortunately.
God. Yeah.
And
Okay,
like
very.
mom and pop businesses, places like Troubadour that have been around for 40 years, they might
Yeah,
not be able to
yeah,
survive.
yeah. But there will be new things. There will be new things.
There will be. There will
Yeah.
be. Well,
Yes.
Rufus, I'm so grateful that you agreed to do this, and I love
Thank
you so
you.
much, and
Thank
respect
you.
you, and admire you, and
Good. Good.
when
Good.
this is all over, I look forward to coming to one of the shows,
Yes,
see you
and
in
we'll
person.
we'll have that coffee finally.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
and stay safe,
Yeah.
and thank you so much.
Great. Great. Give my
Have a
love
good
to your
night.
mom. Give my love to your
I
mom. Okay.
I
Okay.
will. See you
Bye.
later.
Bye.
Bye.